Hello and welcome back to the Stacey West YouTube channel. I'm back for another preview, this time looking ahead to Saturday's fixture at home against Reading, the last game before Christmas and let's be honest, the Christmas period of football, which is mainly what we all love, isn't it? As football fans, it's all I really care about. When it comes to December, the 26th of December is probably more important than the 25th, just for those Boxing Day games. But like I say, we are looking ahead before all of that to Reading on Saturday. And to be discussing Reading, I am joined by a friend of the channel, someone who's been on with us before to discuss the club. That is Johnny Hunt, who has done loads of different things. I mean, I could just list off a whole CV of all the different kind of podcasts and such that Johnny's been a part of. First of all, was on the Real AFL with myself last year, and as well as many things involved at Reading as well, including one of the most important things that he's done at Reading, as far as from my point of view as an outsider, is Talking Royals, which has kind of been a mental health support group set up at the club. And you know, let's be honest, they're a football club that probably need that sort of support at the moment. But Johnny, how are we doing, mate?
Yeah, good to see you, and happy Christmas. It's been a while, but it's been busy old time. But yeah, great to be back on.
Oh, well, it's great to have you on. It's like I say, it's great to catch up. As we were just saying off camera, it's been a while since we've had a chance to properly sit down and talk. And look, I'm going to kind of pick up where. Well, okay, no, I'm not going to pick up where we would normally pick up on previews, because typically, you know, although I don't really script the questions for previews, they typically sort of start along the lines of, "Oh, how's the season going?" and all that. When it comes to Reading Football Club, you kind of have to throw any script outside of the window at the moment, don't you, Johnny? Because I think the best term that we can be using here is obviously a bit of a basket case club, and as I'm sure, as a fan of the club, you're more than willing to admit at the moment. So let's just talk Reading off the field for the moment.
Yeah, and I'll try and keep it brief.
Yeah, absolutely. You rant away because I'm sure that's how it might end up, and that's what very much we want, because we want to kind of see the truth behind it. Now, Young is, of course, still the owner at Reading. There has been a lot of mixed messages recently in terms of the ownership, and then 2-3 weeks ago, you got probably the worst news that you probably could have got, that Ruben Sellers has been allowed to move to Championship side Hull City. Now, on the pitch, things have been going reasonably well so far this season, but again, off the pitch, it's a constant roller coaster that isn't really having many ups to it, is there? So explain kind of the situation and where we stand at the moment.
So probably when we spoke last time, nothing has changed really with regard to the ownership. So it's now been over a year. I think it's 18 months since he's put the club up for sale. We've now had 3 different possible owners, all fall by the wayside. The last one being Rob Couig, which seemed almost like a done deal. He was on the pitch, he was doing this, he was down the Purple Turtle, it was all going ahead. Then at the final hurdle, it all fell apart. He's now suing Di Young's business companies for 12 million because you couldn't make it up. EastEnders could not do a better story than Reading Enders, to be honest. It's no one knows where Di Young is. There's issues around what's going on, and links to kind of communist parties in China that's now, you know, linked with Prince Andrew's new Chinese spy mate. Yeah, you could not make a better story up if you tried. So it's where we're actually at, is we're just waiting to see what's going to happen. I'm just, no one's convinced that it's actually going to be sold. You know, we've got the January transfer window coming up. Will players be sold to fund the club? Basically, that's what we're having to find funds, almost living by hand to mouth, month to month as a club, which is crazy. You know, you're thinking that you turned a corner. You know, and Ruben Sellers was amazing. You know, this time last year, we were kind of, you know, in November last year, we were bottom of the league and people were giving out about him, but then he did a remarkable job with a young group of players to get us to stay up last season. And then this season, you know, we were not allowed to, you know, make any signings because of the embargo that were under because of the owner. And the story then gets even more bizarre in the summer because Femi Aziz was sold, and there was someone, well, the manager was told that they can spend the money, and then actually they weren't allowed to spend the money. But then eventually we got Campbell in on loan from Wolves, because I think that somebody felt sorry for us that we had to, you can't make it up. It's not easy reading. It certainly won't help you sleep at night, that's for sure, as a Reading fan. So we're kind of now basically waiting for the next scenario. There's rumours that there's parties interested and want to buy the club, but we've had another period of exclusivity, and nothing's happened, nothing's come out. Nobody, the club is saying, oh yeah, the owner wants to sell, but we've now got local MP involved who's contacting the Chinese embassy, which is amazing. People are, the whole football community is behind the fans and the club with what's going on. Ruben, was talking about how he did a great job. I think he basically, he had an offer to go to Hull, whose owner's not exactly the most stable either. But him to take a step up, he's proved what a good manager is. It's a real shame for us that he left, but he's been under so much pressure the last 18 months when he came into the job, and he's having to deal with kind of the front of the club because none of the senior people are talking, and he's having to deal with all the protests and all the different things, and then try and also concentrate on building a team, which in the circumstances for us to be sixth, I think personally it's been brilliant because it's really galvanized the club, the fan base. We've obviously with the protests earlier on in the year of tennis balls and then the pitch invasion. But after that, we just focused on the team, and the team, was supporting the team, and Ruben getting the young lads, a lot of someone like Tyler Binden, who was picked up, 19 years of age, probably an under 21s player, has now been playing week in, week out, and is an outstanding young player who will go on to be, I think, play at a high level. I've got Charlie Savage there as well, Robbie's lad, who's doing well, and so many guys, some of the more experienced players like Sam Smith and Harvey Nibbs and Lewis Wing have really kind of, had to step up and be the senior pros, and they're not that old themselves. The good thing, like we've had Andre Garcia, a young left back, 16 years of age, made his debut. If, the last few years at our club, we've had so many random signings that don't really, fit any kind of criteria and want to play for the club. But what it's done is these young lads have had the opportunity to play first team football week in, week out that they wouldn't get at any other club. So they've learnt on the job, which has been really, they've always had a bad result every, like we did on Saturday. There's a bad result because they're young, they're learning, and we've got a very small squad. But they're given the opportunities, and that's brilliant for a fan to see that you actually see a lot of young lads playing. And obviously now, finally at last, it's the wrong Hunt. It should have been Johnny Hunt in charge of the team, but they put the Irish brother Noel in charge. So and he's done an amazing job with the under 21s, and then with the Michael Jokes and Michael Lidgerwood with the academy lads. As they've come through, they're prepared for men's football. They're learning, but they're ready to step up. They know what's expected of them. In a very difficult league, as you got some very physical sides, some very skillful sides, but they're competitive. And I think any Reading fan that you'd said to them would be sixth coming into Christmas would have probably laughed at you because it just wasn't expected. But that's all credit to Ruben to getting the team together, and to say like Noel and the rest of the guys to have that academy, which we still got one of the best academies that produces these lads that are out there and showing what they can do, and it's great to watch, and if we could just get the off the pitch stuff, it'd be nice just to talk about football again. But it doesn't feel like you can't talk about Reading if you don't talk about all the dramas. So that's where it's at. Who knows what's going to happen with the ownership? I'm kind of beyond, I don't know, trying to be positive. Everyone's, it's the amount of stress it causes people is unreal. Football should be an escape from life, but at the minute it's kind of very much, it's hanging over everyone. And the Talking Royals, it's something that's set up to support fans there as a, just a place to go and talk about, all the stuff that's going on at the club. And we've had Mike Gow on there, who's kind of dealt into Dai Young's Chinese business dealings, and ex-players talking about their mental health issues, and it's good. It's good. It's a positive thing that I enjoy doing, and it could just change of focus as we're all trying to do different things as Reading fans, but the on the game stuff is, I'm sure we talk about Saturday's game, and it's we're up there battling, and hopefully, we can bounce back from the defeat at the weekend. But we've got a small squad. It may get smaller in January if players are sold off to pay. So we can only do our best, and we get behind the team every week.
Well, Johnny said he was going to keep it brief, guys. If you remember that one about 10 minutes ago.
That was a brief
firstly, obviously everyone at Lincoln hopes that the situation at Reading does get resolved as quickly as possible. Hopefully after Saturday, of course. No offence, but let's just get this one out of the way and get the loss in first. Now, obviously, you started talking there towards the end about the way that there's obviously been that kind of galvanised team spirit at Reading over the last basically 12 to 18 months, especially. I'd say really especially probably since Ruben Sellers kind of turned that corner with you guys and then started getting the love from the fans. Now, obviously, when he left, it threatened to kind of throw all of that away a little bit up into the air and to then sort of go back to square one, which obviously you hoped wasn't going to be the case, especially with Noel Hunt. He's someone who quite clearly knows the club probably even better than what Ruben Sellers does. He gets it, he understands it, but also it's that way of, is he going to be able to kind of band manage and also coach in terms of a tactical point of view as well, a lot of these young lads back to that same level that what Ruben Sellers was. Now, it's interesting, the kind of question that I'm kind of trying to come to here is when you look at the table, you guys obviously are sat in sixth. So if you just look at that from a Lincoln City point of view, Saturday is going to be a tough game. Now, there is absolutely no denying, no matter what, it's going to be a tough game. It's a game in League One. They're all tough at the moment. They're all tough for every team in the division, even for Birmingham, as they're starting to learn, I think. But when you look at the XG table, everybody's favourite word, you can see that actually you guys are really struggling. You're down in 18th. So the stats aren't really backing up where your league position is. Now, how much of that is because, do you think, of those kind of intangibles of the kind of the club and the way everybody is coming together as one, where the team is quite clearly then being greater than the sum of its parts, and that's the reason why you're so high? And then on the kind of the second part of the question, does no longer having Ruben Sellers threaten that massively, and will that be the case for Saturday?
I think, any manager leaving, when your team's doing well, it's a setback. But I think with the team behind, the team in the changing room there, they're a very unified bunch, and they're glad that Noel's in charge. They know what to expect from him, and how Ruben played and how Noel will set them up. And the younger players that have played under Noel in the under 21s know what to expect from him. And let's be honest, like which manager out there would want to come and join Reading, like at the minute, unless you've got some sort of cursed way of just doing things. So like when you've got guys like Sam Smith, who's a proven scorer at this level, and then Lewis Wing the same, will score goals. We may not have the big squad to choose from, but we've got guys that are threats. As I said, like Harvey Nibbs, and Ben Elliott this season's been a revelation. I don't think he'd be fit for Saturday. He's had the benefit of playing regular football and his fitness, and for a lot of the lads like Charlie Savage, coming up from under 21s because he wanted to play men's football. They're having that experience now where you're playing week in week and you're learning about, and we do struggle sometimes against the bigger physical teams like we did on Saturday. But that's nature of the football. You kind of have to find a way, and you learn, and we do seem to learn from our mistakes. We kind of take it on board, and the team. Yeah, like you say, 18th in the X year. I'm an old school person. I go on how many goals you scored and how many you let in, as you know from the podcast. Like we've got Pereira, who's a good keeper. The defence is, we've got we're still a work in progress for a lot of the players. We have the bad results, but we find a way of getting, we've had some great results this season that people weren't expecting, to go win away at Peterborough, for instance, because our away form hasn't been that great for the long term. But there's something about this team that they don't give up, and they're proud to wear the shirt, and we're proud of them as fans, because God knows what they're going through, off the pitch, and all the pressures of whether they're going to get paid or not. That's stuff that people should be taking for granted, but these guys have had to deal with that for a long time. We drew with you last year up there. I didn't think we'd get a result that time. So it's, we'll go out there and we'll give it a go. And we've always got a threat. We've always got, opportunities. We're missing a couple players again. I say, but when players are missing, it gives the youngsters a chance to come in and show what they can do. And that's the beauty for any footballer. You want to make it, you can make it at Reading, because, we haven't got really any other choice. That's the, there's a career path for them there. So it's great to be part of that journey and to watch them develop, so we'll see. It's a tough one, but again, I'll be happy with the draw.
Well, absolutely, and it'll be very interesting to see what it's going to be like on Saturday. Just on that, you don't just get away with just saying you'll be happy with the draw, Johnny. You know the drill on the Stacey West podcast. Now, I want to know how you think Saturday's going to go, and then you've got to put your money where your mouth is. Score prediction.
Oh, it's very, 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 very threatening. I would actually go, I'd say a draw, because I was trying to be nice to you, because I'm always trying to be nice to you, but I won't now. I'm going to say 2-1 to Reading. And yeah, so there you go. You've upset me now, and that's it.
Right. Fine. Do you know what? I'm going to go on the flip side then. 2-1. No, I think we've probably got that little bit of a physical presence that you've said already. You probably do struggle with. I think, again, we need to get ourselves back on track as well from kind of looking at a Lincoln point of view. I think this game at home, although we do know that you are going to be a tough opponent, you've obviously got a lot of ability in the squad as well as then having that kind of group mentality that a lot of teams struggle to get at any point of the season, let alone in the first half of the season. So, I definitely don't think that's something that we can write off. But on that, I do think that we're going to have that slight edge over you in certain areas of the pitch, which I'm hoping all in all is going to come together for us to, like I said, get ourselves back on track just before Christmas and get our first win in 6 or 7 league games now. So that's how I'm going to see it going. So I'm going to say, I think 2-1 would actually be pretty reasonable, but to us, just to kind of even it out on that one. So there we go. Thank you so much, Johnny, for giving us that brief insight into Reading Football Club, both on... No, honestly, really do appreciate it, both on and off the pitch as well, because obviously there is so much to talk about, and sometimes the off-the-field stuff is more important than the on-the-field stuff. So really great to chat to you about that. Saturday is going to be a really interesting game. Lunchtime kickoff as well on Sky, so it will be a 0-0 draw, actually. I don't know why we're trying to pretend it's going to be 2-1s. It'll almost definitely be a boring 0-0 draw. So enjoy that one. For those of you who are going... Until next time, thank you so much, Johnny. Up the imps.
My pleasure.